A master manipulator rarely looks dangerous at first. They do not always come into your life yelling, threatening, or acting cruel. Sometimes they come in smiling. They listen carefully. They say the right things. They make you feel chosen. They seem to understand your pain faster than anyone else. They appear supportive, sensitive, and emotionally intelligent. And that is exactly why they are so hard to recognize. Because the most dangerous manipulation does not begin with control. It begins with connection. At first, you may feel lucky. You think, finally, someone gets me. Finally, someone cares. Finally, someone sees the real me. But slowly, something changes. You start explaining yourself more. You start doubting your memory. You feel guilty for having needs. You feel anxious when they are upset. You hide things from your friends. You lose confidence in your own judgment. And one day, you realize something terrifying. You are not in a relationship anymore. You are in a psychological maze. This video is not here to make you paranoid. It is here to make you awake. Because when you can recognize manipulation early, you can protect your peace, your identity, your boundaries, and your future. Today, we are going to break down 7 signs you have a master manipulator in your life. Stay until the end, because sign number 7 is the one that keeps people trapped the longest. Manipulation is not normal conflict. Every relationship has disagreements. People misunderstand each other. People disappoint each other. People get emotional. People make mistakes. That is human. But manipulation is different. Manipulation is when someone uses your emotions, your empathy, your guilt, your fear, or your attachment to control your behavior. The goal is not mutual understanding. The goal is leverage. A healthy person wants clarity. A manipulator wants advantage. A healthy person can say, "Let's solve this." A manipulator makes you feel like you are always the problem. A healthy person respects your boundary. A manipulator treats your boundary like betrayal. A healthy person wants you to trust yourself. A manipulator slowly becomes the voice you ask permission from. And the most painful part is that master manipulators often do not control you all at once. They do it gradually. A little confusion here, a little guilt there, a little isolation, a little love bombing, a little criticism disguised as concern, a little rewriting of what happened. Over time, you stop asking, "Are they treating me well?" And you start asking, "Am I asking for too much?" That is when manipulation has entered your mind. But awareness breaks the spell. Once you can name the pattern loses power. Before we go deeper, I want you to think of one relationship in your life. Not necessarily romantic. It could be a friend, a coworker, a family member, an ex, someone you used to trust. Have you ever walked away from a conversation with them feeling smaller, confused, guilty, or emotionally drained? If yes, write in the comments. I trust my reality. Not because a comment fixes everything, but because healing often begins with one sentence. My experience is real. And if this kind of content helps you understand yourself and human behavior, subscribe to the channel. Here, we explore psychology, philosophy, dark psychology, emotional control, self-awareness, and the hidden patterns that shape our relationships. Welcome back to the channel. This is where psychology meets philosophy, where self-awareness becomes protection, and where you learn how to stay kind without becoming easy to control. Sign 1. They rush intimacy before trust exists. The first sign of a master manipulator is that they move too fast emotionally. They tell you personal things too soon. They say they have never felt this way before. They make you feel like you are different from everyone else. They may call you their soulmate, their best friend, their only safe place, or the only person who understands them before they have truly earned that level of closeness. At first, it feels beautiful. It feels intense. It feels like destiny. But sometimes what feels like depth is actually speed. And speed is not the same as intimacy. Real intimacy grows through time, consistency, honesty, and mutual respect. Manipulated intimacy grows through pressure, intensity, and emotional shortcuts. A master manipulator knows that if they can make you feel special quickly, you may lower your defenses before you have had time to observe their character. They do not want trust to develop naturally. They want emotional access now. This can look like love bombing in dating, but it can also happen in friendships, work relationships, and family dynamics. A new friend tells you all their trauma on day 2 and makes you feel responsible for them. A coworker acts like you are their closest ally, then starts pulling you into office drama. A romantic partner overwhelms you with affection, then later uses the bond as leverage. The goal is not always love. Sometimes the goal is access. When someone becomes intense very quickly, ask yourself, are we building trust, or are they demanding closeness? Healthy connection can move slowly. Manipulation hates slow. Because time reveals patterns. Sign 2. Their concern comes with a hook. The second sign is that their concern does not feel clean. At first, they seem caring. They check on you. They ask questions. They offer advice. They act protective. But over time, their concern starts to feel like control. They do not simply ask, "Are you okay?" They ask in a way that makes you feel watched. They do not simply give advice. They make you feel foolish if you do not follow it. They do not simply help. They keep a mental receipt of everything they have done for you. A master manipulator often weaponizes concern. They may say, "I'm only saying this because I care. I just don't want you to get hurt. I know what's best for you." You're too emotional to see this clearly. On the surface, it sounds protective. Underneath, it can mean, "I want authority over your choices." True concern gives you strength. Manipulative concern makes you dependent. True concern expands your confidence. Manipulative concern makes you question whether you can function without them. True concern respects your decision even when it disagrees. Manipulative concern punishes you for not obeying. This is especially dangerous because it can make control look like love. Ask this: after their advice, do I feel more capable or more dependent? If someone's care consistently makes you feel smaller, weaker, or less able to trust yourself, pay attention. That may not be care. That may be control wearing a gentle voice. Sign 3. They turn conflict into a fog. You bring up one issue. Somehow, by the end of the conversation, you are apologizing for 5 things. You ask them to respect a boundary. They bring up something you did months ago. You say, "That hurt me." They say, "I guess I'm just a terrible person then." You ask for accountability. They accuse you of attacking them. This is how manipulators turn conflict into fog. They do not answer the issue directly. They redirect. They exaggerate. They play victim. They bring in unrelated history. They make the conversation so emotionally exhausting that you eventually give up. And then nothing changes. This is not communication. It is confusion management. A healthy person may get defensive sometimes, but they can return to the issue. A manipulator avoids the issue because the issue threatens their control. They do not want resolution. They want emotional exhaustion. Because when you are tired enough, you stop asking for what you need. When you bring up a problem, keep returning to one sentence: "That may be a separate conversation, but right now I'm talking about this." Do not chase every distraction. Do not defend every accusation. Do not let one boundary become a courtroom for your entire personality. Stay with the issue. Fog only works when you walk into it. Sign 4. They rewrite reality until you doubt yourself. The fourth sign is one of the most serious. They make you question what really happened. They deny things they said. They change the timeline. They claim you misunderstood. They say you are too sensitive. They tell you that you always exaggerate. They act shocked when you remember something clearly. This is not ordinary disagreement. When it becomes a pattern, it can become gaslighting. Gaslighting is dangerous because it attacks the foundation of your self-trust. You start thinking, "Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I caused this. Maybe I'm the toxic one." And the more you doubt yourself, the more you rely on them to define reality. That is the trap. A master manipulator does not need to lock you in a room. They only need to make you distrust your own mind. After confusing conversations, write down what happened immediately. Not an emotional essay. Just facts. What was said? What did you ask for? How did they respond? What changed afterward? Also, talk to one trusted person who is not controlled by the relationship. Reality needs witnesses. Not because you are weak, because manipulation thrives in isolation and confusion. Sign 5. They slowly separate you from your support system. The fifth sign is isolation. But isolation does not always look obvious. A manipulator may not say, "You are forbidden to see your friends." Instead, they say, "I just don't like them. They're a bad influence. Your family doesn't understand you like I do. Why do you tell them our business? They're trying to turn you against me." At first, it may seem like jealousy, insecurity, or protectiveness. But slowly, you stop sharing. You stop reaching out. You stop seeing people who used to ground you. And the manipulator becomes the main voice in your life. That is when control becomes easier. Because outside people can remind you who you were before the manipulation. They can notice changes. They can ask questions. They can say, "That doesn't sound okay." A master manipulator does not want too many witnesses. They want to become your emotional environment. Ask yourself, since this person entered my life, have I become closer to my support system or farther from it? If your world keeps shrinking around one person, that is not love. That is a warning sign. Healthy love does not require you to disappear from everyone else. Sign 6. They study your wounds and later press on them. The sixth sign is painful. They remember your vulnerabilities, not to protect them, but to use them. At first, they may ask deep questions. They want to know your fears, your insecurities, your childhood wounds, your past mistakes, the things you are ashamed of, and you may feel safe sharing. But later, those same wounds become weapons. They joke about your insecurity in front of others. They bring up your past when they want to win an argument. They compare you to people who hurt you. They use your fear of abandonment to make you chase them. They use your need for approval to keep you obedient. This is one of the clearest differences between a safe person and a manipulator. A safe person learns your wounds and becomes more careful. A manipulator learns your wounds and becomes more precise. They know where to press. They know what makes you panic. They know what makes you apologize, over-explain, chase, or collapse. And then they call it your problem. Ask, do I feel safer after sharing with this person, or more exposed? Your vulnerability should not become ammunition. If someone uses what you shared in trust to hurt or control you, they have lost the right to deeper access. Sign 7. They make guilt feel like love. The seventh sign is the one that traps people the longest. A master manipulator makes you feel guilty for choosing yourself. You feel guilty for resting. Guilty for saying no. Guilty for needing space. Guilty for not replying fast enough. Guilty for seeing friends. Guilty for having boundaries. Guilty for being happy without them. They may not always demand directly. Sometimes they sigh, go silent, act wounded, make you feel selfish, remind you of everything they have done for you. Say things like, after all I've done, I guess I don't matter. You've changed. I would never do this to you. And suddenly, your freedom feels cruel. Your boundary feels like betrayal. Your peace feels like abandonment. That is not love. That is emotional debt. Love can be disappointed and still respect your freedom. Manipulation turns your freedom into evidence against you. When guilt appears, ask, am I guilty because I did something wrong, or because I did something they didn't like? Those are not the same. Sometimes guilt is not a moral signal. Sometimes it is a withdrawal symptom from being controlled. Now I want you to choose one sign that hit the hardest. Was it rushing intimacy? Weaponized concern? Conflict fog? Reality rewriting? Isolation? Using your wounds? Or guilt disguised as love? Comment below. The sign I noticed was underscore. You do not have to share personal details. Just naming the pattern can help someone else feel less alone. Here is the truth. If you ignore manipulation, it does not usually disappear. It becomes normal. At first, you excuse it. Then you adapt to it. Then you organize your life around avoiding their reactions. You stop saying what you really feel. You stop trusting your memory. You stop telling your friends the whole story. You stop asking for basic respect because it always turns into a fight. And little by little, the relationship does not just take your peace, it takes your identity. But imagine the opposite. Imagine recognizing the pattern early. Imagine staying calm when they try to confuse you. Imagine writing down reality instead of doubting yourself. Imagine saying, no, we are staying on the issue. Imagine rebuilding your support circle. Imagine realizing that guilt is not always truth. Imagine becoming kind, but no longer controllable. That is what awareness gives you. Not fear. Freedom. If this video helped you see something clearly, like this video and subscribe to the channel. And comment, I trust my reality. If you are dealing with a relationship that feels unsafe, emotionally abusive, or controlling, please do not handle it alone. Talk to someone you trust. Reach out to a qualified professional or a support resource in your area. Your safety matters more than protecting someone else's image. A master manipulator does not always look like a villain. Sometimes they look like comfort. Sometimes they look like chemistry. Sometimes they look like concern. Sometimes they look like the person who understands you best. That is why you must learn to watch patterns, not promises. Watch how you feel after interacting with them. Watch whether your world expands or shrinks. Watch whether your boundaries are respected or punished. Watch whether conflict brings clarity or confusion. Watch whether love makes you more yourself, or less yourself. Because real love does not require you to abandon your reality. Real friendship does not feed on your guilt. Real connection does not punish your boundaries. And real care does not isolate you from the people who help you stay grounded. So stay compassionate. Stay aware. Stay connected to people who help you remember who you are. And most importantly, trust your reality. I'll see you in the next video.